Ladies and gentlemen, there are so many stories that are interconnected that eventually even the media is going to have to look at. So let's talk about Russiagate, what's going on with the latest with that, what's going on with Epstein, and what's going on with the pedo network, because it's all connected. So stick around for that today on the Angela Box Show.
Hello, my name is Angela Box. Show your fucking money.
Okay, a couple days ago, D&I Gabbard dropped a Moab on the establishment and basically said that, yeah, your favorite president was involved in inventing a coup against another president. Like, just made it out of whole cloth. And not only him, of course, but Hillary and Clapper, Comey, Brennan, Biden, they all knew. I mean, I said this the other day. This is going to be a race to find out who is going to make a deal first because Clapper is already lawyered up. I suspect all of them have lawyered up, and as well they should, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the media is doing its level best to ignore this story, obviously, because they were complicit in it and they knew all of this was BS and they ran with it anyway. They never asked for proof. They just went night after night after night that Trump is a Russian agent and, Hillary Clinton got her life's work stolen from her. So they're either complicit or retarded. And, I do think some of them are like 100% retarded, but like most of them, they knew what was going on. So there's only so long they're going to be able to ignore this story. But you guys have to understand that when you start unraveling this, it is such a spider web. And it involves so many different things that we're talking about today, like Epstein, like Ghislane Maxwell, like pedo rings. But where did this problem for Democrats kind of start? It started with, most of us think, Seth Rich. Now, Seth Rich, who is widely understood to more than likely be the WikiLeaks source for the DNC hack, was murdered. And his murder has yet to be solved because they don't want to solve it. Okay. He was robbed at 4 a.m. in Washington, D.C., going somewhere, and nothing was stolen from him. But it was a robbery. And then weirdly enough, the Democrats decided to get the Rich family a lawyer because, that's just what they do. They're just out of the kindness of their hearts. So what did Seth Rich, maybe, whoever hacked the DNC, what did we come to find out? Now, the DNC did not have the FBI look at their servers. They were not interested in having the FBI determined what could possibly have happened, even though Julian Assange from the jump has said this was not a state actor. Ergo, this was not Russia, okay? And look, Bill Binney, a former CIA officer, said the download speeds did not support a hack from overseas. It supported someone putting a thumb drive in. So what did we learn with the DNC hack? Well, obviously, Seth Rich, who was a Bernie bro, was very upset that the DNC was throwing the entire primary for Hillary Clinton. All right, he was pissed. He did not know that when he put that thumb drive in and downloaded all those emails, that would prove that the DNC was colluding with Hillary to throw the campaign and steal it from Bernie. He had no idea, like, what else he would come across. So what did we find out in the WikiLeaks dump? Well, John Podesta came up quite a bit, and certain code words that were attached to him: Hillary Clinton, Huma, Barack Obama, etc.
Well, Pizzagate. It became a major story weeks ago when an armed man decided to investigate a D.C. area pizza place for himself. This man right here, he carried a rifle into a pizza parlor and then fired it at the floor. Media is telling you the entire story is a hoax or fake news. But what does that even mean? I spent the last month investigating. So what exactly is Pizzagate? And are there any actual facts to support the story? I've got to warn you, what we're going to talk about tonight will be disturbing to some people, but this is a reality check you won't see anywhere else. Pizzagate actually comes from the WikiLeaks release of hacked emails from Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta. In all, WikiLeaks dumped around 50,000 email messages, and it was from those emails that the claims that John Podesta may be part of a child sex trafficking ring come from. Now, to be clear, not one single email in the Podesta emails discusses child sex trafficking or pedophilia. That is a fact. But there are dozens of what seem to be strangely worded emails dealing with pizza and handkerchiefs. Self-described online investigators say that those words in the emails about pizza and the talk of handkerchiefs is code language used by pedophiles. So how did a DC pizza parlor get pulled into the story? Well, again, read any mainstream report and they indicate that Comet Ping Pong Pizza was somehow linked to this fake story and has no relation to anyone involved. But the truth is that's not true either. What media is ignoring is that the Comet Ping Pong Pizza place is actually referenced in the Podesta emails at least a dozen or so times, and that the owner of that place, James Alfantis, is a friend of John Podesta. He was actually named, this is kind of strange, by GQ magazine as one of the top 50 most powerful people in Washington. Yes, we're talking about a pizza parlor owner. Now let's talk facts here. There is no solid evidence that Comet Ping Pong Pizza is being used to run a child sex trafficking ring. But there are some very strange connections between Comet Ping Pong Pizza and a second pizza place 2 doors over, Besta Pizza, and the accusations of pedophilia. Now this is where things start to get strange when you research this story. Now to begin, I need to show you a 2007 unclassified FBI document. That document, according to the FBI, contains commonly used symbols by pedophiles to express their preference in children. I want you to see these images here. These are the images. Notice this one on the end, the triangle. That image signifies something called boy love. The pizza place next door to Comet Ping Pong Pizza, Besta Pizza, well, this was their logo until only a few weeks ago. Clearly, you can see that the Besta logo actually contains the same image, I'm going to show you again, as that boy lover image. Interestingly, after Pizzagate investigators pointed this out, Besta Pizza changed their logo, and there it is now. They removed the triangle. Also, Comet Ping Pong, owned by Alfantis, is the place where a number of performance artists perform regularly. 2 of the groups that perform there, who you can see advertised, by the way, on this Comet Ping Pong poster, include a group called Heavy Breathing and another group called Sex Stains. Well, if you check out the YouTube videos by these bands, Heavy Breathing has songs that do joke about pedophilia, and the band Sex Stains has a video that includes, and you see it right there, that same boy lover symbol. It's nearly identical to the one that the FBI does say is a pedophile code symbol for boy love. As I said, there are some strange things there. As for the owner of the pizza place, James Alfantis, well, he was one time in a relationship with David Brock, who ran Media Matters for America. Well, since Pizzagate began to blow up online, he has made his Instagram profile, Jimmy Comet, private. But an archive search of Instagram reveals a number of strange photographs and words with strange and disturbing images associated with them. Look, to the point where we can't show you those pictures. We're not even going to describe them to you because some viewers would find it too disturbing to share on TV. Now let's talk about the Podesta brothers, because remember, it was John Podesta's email that was hacked. In those leaked Podesta emails, John Podesta talks about his close relationship with Dennis Hastert, the former Speaker of the House, who was recently sentenced to 15 months in prison for abusing boys years ago. He was referred to by the judge as a serial child molester. According to the Washington Post, visitors to Tony Podesta's home in Falls Church got an eyeful when they walked into a bedroom at the Podesta residence hung with multiple color pictures by Katie Grannon, a photographer known for documentary-style pictures of naked teenagers in their parents' suburban homes. And to be clear, that just begins to scratch the surface of how strange some of this stuff is. And bear in mind, we can't get into a lot of the real details of it because of the limits on broadcasting this on television. But it is some very strange stuff. Now keep in mind, again, there is no proof here that there is a child sex ring being operated out of a DC pizza parlor. Investigators have already proven there's nothing to the story, right? Well, actually, no. And that's what you need to know. For all that is here, there has not been one single public investigation of any of this. Not from local police, not from the FBI, no one. And that has to be the big question. Not for Podesta or for pizza parlor owners, but for law enforcement. Based on what may be or may not be here, the big question is, why hasn't any investigation taken place? That's Reality Check. Let's talk about it.
Weird, very strange emails that nobody seems to want to talk about. And nobody seems to be able to explain the code words in them. Emails that talk about delivering, $65,000 of pizza and hot dogs to the Obama White House? Or, cheese pizza, and you're going to have a cheese pizza for an hour, or you're going to have some walnut and some sauce. Like, none of it has ever been explained by any of the people sending or receiving those emails. The only thing they'll say is, this is an outrageous accusation that I'm a pedophile. Nothing could be further from the truth. Like, okay, well, can you explain those code words? Because the FBI can explain those code words in those DNC emails, and they're all pedophile code words. But anyway, all this is connected, okay? So Seth Rich is dead. The DNC hires CrowdStrike, a Ukrainian company, to come in and determine that, it was Russia. It was Russia that did this. And the media ran with it because that's what the media is complicit in. And now it's all falling apart on them. And it's falling apart very, very rapidly. So no matter if they continue to ignore this story, they will not be able to ignore it forever, because once the arrests start, and if Barack Obama, who thinks he's got presidential immunity, and I even heard people that I respect say, he's got immunity because of the SCOTUS decision. No, he doesn't, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have immunity for inventing a Trump-Russia collusion hoax and doing a coup on a sitting president of the United States. And the coup continues to this day. So not only is the statute of limitations not up, it's been ongoing for the last 9 years. So good luck with that whole argument, taking that to the Supreme Court, saying I should be able to commit treason if I was president. I mean, no big deal, right? Big deal. And you're not going to get away with that. So I would tell people that think that Obama is going to get away with this, think again, you guys. Like, there's a certain intelligence board that I'm not even going to say the letter of the board, okay? But the intelligence board has been right a whole bunch of times. In fact, a few years back, Trump was asked finally about the intelligence board.
At the crux of the theory is this belief that you are secretly saving the world from this satanic cult of pedophiles and cannibals. Does that sound like something you are behind?
Well, I haven't heard that, but is that supposed to be a bad thing or a good thing?
No, Mr. President, it is not a bad thing. So carry on, good guys, carry on, white hats, because this is just getting started and I am here for it. Okay, in Epstein news, of course, now we understand. Now we understand why every Democrat on planet Earth all of a sudden wanted the Epstein files released, but only the ones they wanted, because Trump went and said, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to release the grand jury testimony in the Florida case and the New York case. And the Democrats were like, no, we don't want that. We don't want that. We just want like invented birthday cards that where you draw pubic hair on naked women. That's what we want. Donald Trump is getting ready to sue Rupert Murdoch, the Wall Street Journal, into oblivion. And I dare say he's going to win, because we keep talking about this. And with Trump, when are you dumbasses going to figure out that Trump does not speak out of his ass? All right. He doesn't just throw things out to throw them out. If he says something, he knows it's true. Okay. So this week, the DOJ is like, I know you're ignoring the whole Russia collusion hoax thing, but that's cool. We'll get to it. How about we go interview Ghislane Maxwell? That sounds like a good idea. Let's go do that.
And we're finished after all day yesterday and today. Ghislane answered every single question asked of her over the last day and a half. She answered those questions honestly, truthfully, to the best of her ability. She never invoked a privilege. She never refused to answer a question. So we're very proud of her. We're proud of how the process has worked over the past day and a half.
And so this week, Ghislane Maxwell was interviewed. And now the word on the street, and I hope this isn't true, but sometimes you got to dance with the devil that brought you to the dance, I suppose. There's talk that she's going to be offered a pardon. And the only way I would be okay with that is if she gave up every single solitary name, and it needs to be backed up with the tapes, and the tapes exist, and the documents exist. So I would say start singing, Ghislane, and you better give details, because these are very, very bad people that have been getting away with this for a very long time. Look at the open border and the 350,000 missing children that Joe Biden just, I don't know where they are. They're just gone. I'm just going to look the other way because my pedophile buddies, and, I did like to shower with my daughter, so I get it. Trust me. I'm just going to look the other way so you can do what you want to do. And this week came out that Biden actually put a hotline in place for unaccompanied minors to call if they were having problems with their sponsor families. And 65,000 calls went unanswered.
So you're telling this committee that the Biden administration, while they were letting all of these unaccompanied minors into the country, and as we've talked about today, they weren't keeping track of them, they issued these kids a hotline that they could call if they had trouble with the sponsor family that they were put with. And you're saying that 65,000 calls to this hotline designated to protect these kids went unanswered? Is that what you're telling this committee?
Yes, sir. But what this administration found was from August 2023 to January of 2025, 65,000 calls went unanswered. Those calls spanned from, complaints about stale bread all the way to being abused, to one case where a child's call was reporting that grown men were coming into his room at night and they were touching him. Nothing happened with that call. That call went unanswered until this administration took office, went through those 65,000 calls, made follow-ups, conducted a welfare check, and now that child has been rescued and that sponsor has been arrested. These are the safeguards that were put in place, but accountability and oversight was not had.
So you're telling this committee that the Biden administration, while they were letting all of these unaccompanied minors into the country, and as we've talked about today, they weren't keeping track of them, they issued these kids a hotline that they could call if they had trouble with the sponsor family that they were put with. And you're saying that 65,000 calls to this hotline designated to protect these kids went unanswered? Is that what you're telling this committee?
Yes, sir.
Wow. That is unbelievable. Unbelievable. I believe you also said, Ms. Hopper, that according to your research, it was easier to adopt a pet or a dog than it was to get one of these children. Is that what you said?
I said that it was easier to get a child, yes, than to adopt a dog. You actually had to provide more paperwork to adopt a pet from a pet shelter than you did to sponsor a child.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you, ladies and gentlemen? It tells you that there's a lot of sick people with a lot of sick fetishes that need those itches scratched. And the Democrats are more than happy to allow them to scratch those itches. And that's going to come to an end too. Can't wait. And on that note, pedophiles are not having a good week, you guys, because this week, Kash Patel's FBI arrested a ring of fat, hillbilly-looking, gross people who are definitely going to get shanked in prison. Like, count on it. They might as well just kill themselves now because they will be murdered in prison and nobody will care. In Alabama, evidently there was a pedophile ring of these, again, fat hillbillies that had a stable of children, some as young as 3 years old, who they would assault after they would drug them. And then God knows what they did with them. And I would guarantee that a lot of these kids that have gone missing are no longer with us, because once these disgusting people use them up and spit them out, they have no use for their bodies anymore. And so what do you do with a problem like that? You get rid of it. Y'all, I think this goes so deep and it's so multifaceted and it's so multi-layered. It doesn't just touch illegality. It touches pure evil. And the things they've done to try and get rid of Donald Trump, whether it's COVID or the stolen election of 2020 or his assassination attempts or the Trump Russia collusion hoax or impeachment hoax number 1 and 2. Like, there is something so massive that they cannot have out in the public that they will do literally anything to stop it. But how's that old saying go? Nothing can stop what is coming. Nothing. And I'll leave you with Donald Trump being asked in 2017 about what he means by the storm.
You guys know what this represents? I don't remember. It's the calm before the storm.
What's the storm?
Good people.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Give us a
It's probably good to relive that now because we've been waiting almost 10 years for these people to be brought to justice. And I think this is just the beginning of the storm. And what's that old saying? How's that old saying go? Nothing can stop what is coming. Nothing. I guess we'll see, won't we? All right, that's where I'm going to leave this video. Let me know what you think down below. Subscribe, like, do all the things. And I'll see you in the next video. Thy will be done. Bye.